Okay, what if you could make any process, so perfect that it only fails 3 times out of a million? Now, that's not some crazy hypothetical question. It's the actual, audacious promise of Six Sigma, the business philosophy that completely redefined what excellence even means. Today, we're going to unpack its story, how it was born from a total corporate crisis, how it took over the world, and why it's probably more relevant now than ever before.
So it all starts with this one number, 3.4. What in the world could that mean, right? It's not a percentage, it's not a rating, it is a target. It's a target for a level of quality so ridiculously high that for every 1 million things you do, whether you're building a car part, shipping a software update, or sending a customer invoice, only 3.4 of them have a defect. That is 99.99966% perfect. Just think about that.
And that brings us to the official definition. At its heart, Six Sigma is a disciplined, data-driven way to hunt down and eliminate defects. Now, the name itself, Six Sigma, sounds kind of technical, but it actually comes from a pretty simple idea in statistics. Just think of sigma as a way to measure how much a process varies from perfection. So a Six Sigma process is one with unbelievably low variation. It's so consistent that defects become like a statistical anomaly. And the ultimate goal? Yep, you guessed it, that incredible target of no more than 3.4 defects per million opportunities. So a 99.99966% success rate. I mean, how is that even possible? It's definitely not magic, and it's not about being lucky. It is a framework, it's a mindset, really, and it's built on a few incredibly powerful, non-negotiable principles. You know, when you boil it all down, Six Sigma really runs on 4 key ideas. First, and this is the big one, the customer defines what quality is, period. Second, you throw out all the guesswork. Gut feelings and opinions don't fly. Hard data drives every single decision. Third, you become absolutely obsessed with hunting down and wiping out variation and waste wherever they're hiding. And finally, you don't do it alone. You bring together people from different departments because the best solutions almost never come from just one silo. The engine that actually powers this whole hunt for perfection is something called the DMAIC cycle. Think of it as a super simple 5-step playbook for solving pretty much any problem you can think of. First, you define the problem with crystal clarity. Then you measure how bad it is right now. You analyze the data to find the real root cause, not just the symptoms. Then you improve the process with a laser-focused solution. And finally, you control it to make sure that problem never, ever comes back. It's simple, it's logical, and it is devastatingly effective. But this incredible system wasn't dreamed up in some quiet boardroom when things were going great. No way. It was forged in the fire of a massive corporate crisis. For this, we gotta go back to the 1980s. So in the early 80s, Motorola was getting absolutely hammered. Their Japanese competitors were putting out products that were just better, higher quality. So in response, their CEO set this wildly ambitious goal: improve quality tenfold in 5 years. That immense pressure led an engineer named Bill Smith to formalize a repeatable method for improvement, which would soon become Six Sigma. And the result? By 1988, they hadn't just survived, they were thriving. And then came the ultimate validation, winning the very first Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award. This was huge. It wasn't just an internal pat on the back anymore. This award announced to the entire business world that Motorola had created something truly special, a brand new benchmark for what excellence really looked like. And of course, the numbers proved it worked. By 1988, Motorola had documented over $16 billion in cost avoidance. Now listen to that phrase, cost avoidance. This wasn't just profit. This was money they didn't have to spend on fixing mistakes, on scrap materials, on warranty claims. They weren't just making better products, they were saving an absolute fortune by not making bad ones in the first place. Now, Motorola might have invented Six Sigma, but it was another corporate giant, General Electric, and its legendary CEO that turned it from an internal tool into a global phenomenon. In 1995, Jack Welch at GE didn't just adopt Six Sigma, he went all in. He got up and declared it was the single most important initiative the company was undertaking. This wasn't some side project for the quality department. No, this was the central strategy for the entire massive corporation. And he really put his money where his mouth was. GE set aside $1 billion, a billion, just for training its employees on how to use the Six Sigma methodology. This massive investment was a signal to everyone, inside and outside of the company, that this was not a fad. But here's the really genius move. This is how Welch made sure everyone was on board. He tied 40% of executive bonuses directly to the results of their Six Sigma projects. All of a sudden, quality wasn't some abstract idea. It was directly linked to everyone's paycheck. Now that is how you drive change.
And the results? They were absolutely seismic. By the year 2000, GE had reported cumulative savings of over $12 billion. And again, this was that cost of quality made visible. When a jet engine part is made perfectly the first time, or a medical scanner has 0 defects, those savings flow straight to the bottom line. And when those kinds of numbers hit Wall Street, the business world went into a frenzy. Everybody wanted to copy GE's success, and just like that, Six Sigma became the management mantra of the decade.
Okay, but that was over 2 decades ago. In a world of AI, big data, and agile development, is Six Sigma even still relevant? Well, the answer is a resounding yes, and that's because it has evolved right along with the times. See, today's Six Sigma has integrated with all the tools of the modern era. Machine learning now turbocharges the analysis phase, literally predicting where defects are most likely to happen. It's been fused with agile sprints for faster, more iterative software development. And it's even gone green. The same methodology is now used to systematically eliminate environmental waste and slash carbon emissions. And you can really see the shift right here. Those classic long, drawn-out project cycles, they've been replaced by rapid 2-week sprints. Instead of making these huge, big batch improvements and waiting until the end for feedback, it's now all about rapid iteration and a continuous feedback loop. Six Sigma basically learned how to be faster and a whole lot more flexible. Its versatility is just incredible. In hospitals, it's being used for life-or-death stuff, like reducing medication errors and cutting ER wait times. In banking, it's shrinking loan approval times from days down to just a few hours. And in the tech world, it's absolutely essential for things like getting more good chips out of a silicon wafer. The core logic just applies everywhere. So where does this relentless pursuit of perfection go from here? Well, the future is all about moving from just fixing problems to preventing them before they can even happen. The next big frontier is what's called predictive quality. I want you to imagine AI agents, smart software that are constantly monitoring a process and can forecast a problem before it even happens. Or picture this, digital twins. These are perfect virtual copies of a factory floor that can simulate changes and optimize themselves in real time. The goal isn't just 3.4 defects per million anymore. The new goal is to push to less than 1 defect per million and to achieve near 0 downtime. And what this all shows us is that while the tools are constantly evolving, from simple statistical charts to self-correcting AI, the core discipline of Six Sigma is absolutely timeless. That rigorous, data-driven approach to defining a problem, measuring its impact, and systematically improving it, well, that's just a fundamental key to success in any field. Which really just leaves us with one final thought. From a broken process at your job to maybe an inefficient routine in your own life, what problem in your world is just waiting for that focused, data-driven approach to help it achieve its own version of perfection?